everybody, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Chris Yee.
And I'm Mike Delisio.
Today we're taking a look at, of all things, a trick-taking game called Rebel Princess. This is the deluxe edition from Bezier Games. Mm-hmm. This was originally out. I'm sure you played it before it was cool.
I did. I played it before it existed, actually. It was
designed.
Zombie Paella, right?
Yeah, the original company from Spain who published it.
Yeah. Side note, don't play Zombie Paella. But
game.
But there are other games that they make that are fine. So, yes. But that game, not so much.
Anyway, this is a trick-taking game that these guys said I would like. And I don't play all the trick-taking games these days.
To be clear, I never said you would like it because I know better now.
I said that you should check it out.
Maybe I said that.
Never get around it.
Anyway.
And then I brought it in my game bag to every Tuesday game night for the last month.
You really did. And I was like, fine, I'll play it. All right, anyway, let's go over how it plays, and we'll be right back. In this game, you have 4 suits. You have pets, you have fairies, you have queens, and the most annoying of all, princes. The cards go from 1 to 12, although you'll only see cards 11 and 12 if you're playing with 6 players. You're going to play over 5 rounds, although you can play less rounds if you'd like to. And you can play more, I suppose, if you want to. You'll put some cards out here. The first card has nothing. It's just once upon a time. And the black card they usually say to put down at the end. And what these are going to do at the beginning of each round, you're going to deal the deck out, hand it to everybody. They're going to pass this many cards it shows here. So you're passing 3 cards here counterclockwise. In the next round, we would pass 3 cards clockwise. And then in this round, 3 cards clockwise. Sometimes it's only 1 card being passed, and then the directions might change. And then there might be rules that affect it. Also, before the game starts, everyone is going to get dealt 2 princesses. And you're going to pick one of them to keep, and that's the princess you're going to be. So maybe I want to be the Ice Princess. Or maybe I would like to be Snow White, or Thumbelina, or Cinderella. Each of these is a power that you can use once per round. So for example, Cinderella once per round, before a trick I can reverse the hierarchy of numbers. I can say basically low is high and high is low. Or the Ice Princess, before a trick I can choose 1 or 2 random cards for players to play. Or before a trick declared, other players must play a number higher than 5 if they have one. In a trick-taking game, one player is going to play a card from their hand, and each other player must follow the same suit if possible. So if I lead with a green card, everyone has to play a green card, and whoever plays the highest card wins the trick. If you don't have a card that's being led, you can play any card from your hand. But it doesn't matter about that, it's still the highest card of the color that was led will win the trick and win all the cards in that trick. Now you're doing this because you don't want to get princesses. A princess is offering a marriage proposal. So each one of those you win gives you a marriage proposal, which is a point, and those are negative. And you cannot lead with a prince. You cannot, the first card can't be a prince until one of them has snuck into the ball. So if I play, for example, a 10 red, and you're playing and you don't have any red cards, you could play a prince. And from now on, in the rest of that round, princesses can be played. This includes one of the pets who is actually a frog prince and is worth 5 points, which is pretty terrible. You don't want 5 points. Unless you want to be the rebel prince, and that means you need to take all the prince cards over the course of a round, including this. If you do that, you will get negative 10 points rather than gaining points. So that's the way the game works. You're going to do that for 5 rounds, remembering, first of all, passing the cards, having the ability to use a princess's special power, and keeping in mind the rules for this game round. So this one, for example, princesses score double proposals except for the highest scoring player. So if I get 5 points of prince points, I will get 5 points if I'm the most, and if you have 4, you would get 8 points in this round. Anyway, that's how you play. After 5 rounds, whoever has the lowest score is the winner. By the way, this is one of the few times where I use the theme to teach a game when I teach it. Although I will say I keep getting mixed up princess and princes, which are 2 different words.
Yes.
More than one prince is a prince. There's princes.
Yes. The plural of prince is princes.
So confusing. I just say
The artist formerly known as princes.
The Princes of the Universe by Queen.
But there really isn't a theme other than, maybe the special power sort of
Right.
kind of, but I'm amused by it. So this is obviously a variant on Hearts.
Yes.
And that's what kind of attracted me to wanting to play it, because Hearts is my favorite of all the standard trick-taking games. There's something about throwing negative points at other people that I enjoy. the idea of trying not to, but also the idea of shooting the moon.
Right.
I've always liked that, and I find that amusing. What I've kind of grown tired of in some trick-taking games is I've grown tired of chaos.
Yes.
Okay.
So when I read the rules, I was like, oh, so it's Hearts with chaos. But it's managed chaos.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to explain it. I mean, you know the rule. Everyone is following that rule. That rule is in effect the whole round.
Yep.
And so it's kind of like I'm trying to figure out how to use the rules of the game plus that new rule, keeping an eye on your special powers.
Sure.
And not take any princes.
What about the frog, though?
Oh, I love the frog. I love that. I love that frog is floating around there. I've always played that. There's the Queen of
Queen of Spades.
Queen of Spades.
13 points. Yeah.
Right.
yeah, which is worse than the frog. But
Right.
it's interesting because it's almost the same thing. It's an 8, not a 9. That 9 green makes you sweat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It definitely does.
Unless you have 4 other greens, then you're feeling pretty powerful. Let's bleed
Right.
out that 8.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that it sounds like it would be chaotic, but since that kind of rule change is universal for everybody, and they're relatively simple too. I think that's important. Is that none of these are so convoluted that everyone's like, wait, how does this work? You get how it works. You just have to figure out how best to manage it.
There's some unusual ones, like the farthest from the number being led, that you have to pause and think for a second about.
Sure.
Yeah. And what's neat is I have played some games that kind of have that type of feel where that little twist right there is typically the whole way that some game is played, right? And that's just kind of a one-round little variation in here. That's almost like you're not necessarily going to play the same type of trick-taking game every round. And I like that twist. Those twists, to me, are more interesting than even the princess powers that you have in hand. But those are still vital because having having Cinderella's power mixed with this event for the round can lead to some really fun moments that avoids chaos but encourages fun.
Yeah, talking about this, I hadn't really considered it under this frame, but you could probably do something similar to this with many of the classic card games, right? Basically, keep the framework of the rule set and add in special powers, add in something that changes each round, right? I think it's something that could happen, but this is the first one I've played that is so clearly, a classic game with some little variants put on top. They work well.
You've never played checkers cards?
I've not.
But I'll tell you, what really kind of surprised me on this was I played it. One of my games I played with, there was an older gentleman. I'm like, hey, have you ever played a trick-taking game? And he was like, sir, I am a bridge player. And I was
Okay.
like, maybe I have a different game. Because I knew what this game was, and I played it. And then I went to bed and went home. And he's like, I want to play it again. I was like, fine. So he said he played it like all night. And they kept playing it over and over again. And he really liked it.
I'm sorry. I was just trying to get the timeline in my head. I got a little
This is at the Big
confused.
Game Bash.
You went to bed, and then he said, I want to play it some more.
Sorry,
I didn't know. I was just a little
In
confused.
Tom's dreams.
No, I was leaving, and he said,
Got
can we
it.
play it some more?
Okay.
And they played it, and he really loved it.
That's
And
awesome.
I thought it had a pretty wide appeal to that in that regard.
Yeah.
I also think this is one of the few trick-taking games where I'm amused that it says in the rule book, you don't have to play 5 rounds. You
Yeah.
can play less. And I'll play all 5 rounds. Usually I play way less than the book tells me to. They're like, play to 500 points. I'll go,
Nah.
I'll do 150.
Sure.
Yeah. No, it doesn't outstay its welcome at all. But you could play fewer rounds. I mean, that's a nice kind of hallmark of a lot of card games is that a lot of times they'll have a set number of points or a set number of rounds, and you can usually just be like play until you're done playing. But this one. You play through all of it, and it feels just about right. I agree with that.
And when you're teaching it, they have that first event that you can use, which is the no event, right?
Right.
That way people can just play the basic rules, one round, one hand, and then you say, okay, that was fun, let's try it again. But whoop.
Yeah.
Oh, that one twist is juicy, right? All of a sudden now it's the second lowest card is going to win or whatever it is, and people go, oh, you know.
Yeah,
It,
yeah.
For me, it has that effect the first time I played Dominion, right? And I was like, oh, that was a fun game. And then my brother wiped the 10 cards and said, now we're going to play with these 10 cards out. It has that same thing where,
Yes.
you know, this could be used as a very good first, tricky, but a good first trick-taking game for people because the core of it is so simple. Avoid this suit and the frog. But
Which
then...
thematically is part of that suit, which I also thought was a clever thing.
That is clever.
Absolutely, yeah. The frog is a hidden prince, right?
Yeah.
So good.
And we mentioned that this is a deluxe edition.
Well, I mean, it's Bezier made it deluxe
right.
from
Well,
the
I
original.
guess what I'm saying is the difference between this and the original, the tiles, they didn't used to be cardboard, right? The tiles.
They were
just
cards, the same size as the deck of cards.
Right, exactly. So that's a nice little upgrade. There's more powers in this one and things along those lines. So I think, this is a good definitive edition because it's still a relatively small box card game. I don't think any of the changes they made were superfluous. You know what I mean? I think they were all actually good, solid changes.
Good quality of life improvement, yeah.
What would you give it?
I'd give this one 8.5. I like this one a lot. Hearts is not my favorite of the original, of the classic kind of trick-taking games because sometimes it feels like things can just cascade into points your way.
Yes. I love it.
But that leans into the shooting the moon thing, which is so fun. And I find this one to be just a little bit more soft around the edges than when I play Hearts against people who know that game pretty well.
Yeah.
Because at least once I go like, I'm going to use my princess power and get out of this cycle of taking all these cards and start shifting it other people's ways, and then I kind of get into it a little bit more. Everything Mike said about the production, I think that everything in here is an improvement over the original, because I did play it before. It was cool. But yeah, so it's a deluxe. It's the type of deluxe that I recommend. Great game, 8.5.
Yeah, sorry. I'm coming at 8.5 too. It is an outstanding game. And there are a lot of trick-taking games coming out right now. What I like about this, what I think makes this stand out, is the fact that it really is a classic game that you could talk to somebody and say, have you what kind of card games did you play growing up? Did you play spades? Did you play hearts? Did you play pinochle? Did you play any of those games? Yeah? You want to try this? This is, because it's going to feel familiar enough, but also show where kind of trick-taking is going. So I really like it.
Yeah, I played this with every player account except 6. I don't think I played with 6 yet. And I really like it, despite the fact that I get so caught up sometimes in a special rule, I forget I have a princess. I'm like, oh, I could have used the princess that round.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. It feels so strategic and yet with a little bit of diversity and a smidge of chaos. But it doesn't ever extend beyond that. I already love Hearts. So this is an easy jump for me. This is a 9. It's one of the best trick-taking games I've ever played. I think it's fantastic. Yeah, I played this a lot since it's come.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic. It's fun, and if you like Hearts, I really think you'll like this.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's almost a 1-for-1. And if you never played Hearts and just play trick-taking games, this one has a lot of extra stuff, but also doesn't feel that complicated either.
No.
Exactly, yep.
Nope.
So that's Rebel Princess. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Chris Yee.
I'm Mike Delisio.
And I'm the Frog.
You getting married.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.